Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Within. This is our last webinar in this Wellness Within series. I am your host today, Dr. Wendy Garber Mayo. I am the founder and CEO of Collaborative Cancer Care. We are a mental health practice who provide counseling, therapy, medication management, education, advocacy, and consultation for cancer patients, cancer caregivers, and survivors. So these Wellness Within workshops, it's a four-part series. We're doing them just to add more value to the community and just to individuals out there who are on their journey with cancer, whether you're a caregiver, survivor, or family member. Today, I want to talk to you about loneliness in cancer. Loneliness and cancer is something that comes up in a lot of the clients we see in our clinic. People feel lonely because they feel as though people can't really understand their experience. Patients usually always say, it doesn't matter who I'm around, you still have a sense of loneliness and you can't really do anything to comfort them. So I want to kind of just unpack that a little bit today. And I want to start off by saying that loneliness doesn't always look like isolation, like being by yourself. It impacts everyone. It can impact cancer patients, cancer caregivers, and even family members. And just last week, I did a roundtable with some male caregivers, some young men who were caregivers for their mom as she was battling breast cancer. And both of those young men said that they felt lonely on their journey. One really highlighted being home with his mom at night, his mom's sleeping, and he's in his room, and he felt lonely. Everyone left, all the family and friends left, and he was there by himself. So he did have some isolation there. And I want to just really say that loneliness is not your fault. No one asked to get cancer, right? But it's real, it's valid, and there are things you can do to help with loneliness. And just because you have cancer or you're a caregiver of someone with cancer, you're not the only one who's experiencing loneliness. Loneliness is a global pandemic. 61% of Americans are lonely. I guess that's a national, wouldn't be a global, national statistics, but 60% of Americans are lonely. And if you can recall, with COVID, loneliness was a crisis in our country. But it continues to be that for many individuals battling cancer, especially our caregivers. Caregivers usually suffer in silence because they don't necessarily have cancer, but they are dealing with the emotions of loneliness and trying to be the strong one when inside they're lonely, they're afraid, there's a lot going on. I want to talk about three different types of loneliness. The first one is emotional loneliness. This is missing connection or even empathy. Emotionally, you're feeling disconnected. You feel like no one really understands, and no one is really being empathetic to what you're feeling or what you're experiencing. So that's emotional loneliness. The second one is social loneliness. This is feeling disconnected from groups or networks. Many times when you have a diagnosis of cancer or you're a caregiver, sometimes you shy away. I had this discussion with one of our clients where it was actually a caregiver who was saying her son no longer hangs out with his group of friends. So you create some sort of separation there, but it's a disconnect from your network and your community. So you may feel socially isolated or lonely because you don't have that network anymore. Or it can be your friends and family. Maybe you're not attending family gatherings, holidays, birthday parties. And it can be for a number of reasons that you are experiencing this social loneliness or isolation. For the example I use, this gentleman did not want to talk about his disease or didn't know how to really talk about his disease or being sick. The next one is existential loneliness. Existential loneliness is questioning your purpose, feeling forgotten, like you have no purpose. This one is very important. We do a chat on Monday that's called Cafe Conversations every Monday at 12 p.m. We really talk about purpose in life outside of cancer. And this existential loneliness can really help if you really dig deep or unpack your why. Like, why are you here? Despite having a cancer diagnosis or being a caregiver, you still have purpose, and you are not forgotten. You still have ways you can contribute to the world. So that can help with existential loneliness. But one, it's being willing to open up and really see the possibilities, which can be hard depending on where you are in your journey. And loneliness, the reason it's a really important topic for us to discuss today is because there are health consequences associated with loneliness. Loneliness increases the risk for anxiety, depression, even mortality. In individuals who have prolonged loneliness and they are not coming out of that, because stress hormones from loneliness can impact our immune system, our overall mental and our physical health. So it becomes a stressor, even though it's an internal phenomenon. It's not something you can see, it's not tangible, but it's something that can definitely impact your mental and physical health. So, why does it happen in cancer? Why does it happen? Cancer creates a disconnect, right? People don't know what to say, they don't know how to say it, when to say it. Your roles shift. I talk about this a lot. Identity dissonance, where you identify as, the strong go-to person or the spouse who's the breadwinner or, whatever it is. But that role shift and that identity shift can definitely cause isolation. So a spouse can become a caregiver, a friend can become a helper and not a peer. So those role shift and those identity shifts, and that can be one of the ways that you experience the loneliness. Isolation from daily routines, work and hobbies. So you're just not doing the things you used to do anymore. And I want you to really think about what it is and not the why. So you may be isolating from things. So it's just being aware of what you're isolating yourself from and not really thinking about the why right now, because that can be really overwhelming. But what are you isolating yourself from? What did you do before your cancer diagnosis or before you became a caregiver that you're not doing now? Just taking notice of those things without any judgment. And then cultural factors. This is another reason why loneliness can happen in cancer, because in some cultures, you have to be strong. You don't want to burden others. You want to kind of handle it all on your own. And a cancer diagnosis is really hard to handle on your own. And it's okay to ask for help, but we have to respect cultural norms and cultural factors where people feel like they have to be strong. They don't want to burden others. They're going to kind of do it on their own. They're going to use their faith. So it's one, understanding those cultural factors and respecting them. And now, how do you come back from loneliness? If you identify that you are lonely, you can reframe by saying, you may feel alone, but you're not powerless. And I think that is very important. And I want to give you 4 steps to really begin that process of coming out of loneliness. And I love that, we talked about powerless. You're not powerless. Because I always say, when we think about stressful things in our lives, it's really relinquishing our power to that thing, to that situation, or to that person. And one way to manage your stress is taking back your power. And same thing with loneliness. You want to take back your power from that. So I want to give you 4 steps to really begin that process. The first step is reconnecting intentionally. So I ask you to think about the things that you have disconnected from, but intentionally reconnecting with the people, with the groups, and reaching out to one person a week, right? Maybe that's a goal, reaching out to one person a week. It's just a quick text or a voice note to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Sorry, I've been away. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. And that's it, right? It's really a small step, a small shift to just re-engaging with friends or family, or even communities you haven't been a part of. And you don't have to do it for everyone, but one day a week, right? So that's for a month. But just sending a quick voice note, and it could be the same voice note to the same people to just say, hey, just thinking of you, right? Just checking in, and then that's it. The second way is to share your story if you're comfortable, but maybe joining a support group, a cancer caregiver support group, or a cancer support group. It could be online or in person, just to go share your story and really building community with those who understand what you're going through or may validate your feelings or your experience. Because when you share your story, it is part of healing. When you hear from others, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel validated. So it's important that, when you're ready to share your story, you have to be ready. It's not something you can just do right out the gate, but when you're ready, it's something to consider. But it's a second way you can really help reconnect with the world. The third thing is nourish your senses. This is a very interesting one. So using sensory regulation to combat loneliness. So what does this mean? Using your senses. So music, nature, maybe it's, you have a pet, so or touch, but really stimulating your senses to just reconnect with things you love. Maybe it's your hobby. But listening to music may be something that really makes you feel alive and you're reconnecting with something you love. So it's not always someone, but it can be something. Loneliness impacts our nervous system, which we don't always think about, but it impacts our nervous system, and soothing our senses or reconnecting our body in the present moment can help really combat that. Now, that's a very interesting concept of senses. The fourth thing is schedule the joy and connection. So these things aren't going to happen spontaneously. We have to really be intentional. So put something you enjoy on your calendar, weekly. I always talk about the 5 by 5 by 5 method. So I always say, think of 5 things you can do in 5 minutes for 5 days, and put it on your calendar. Schedule that time for yourself. But that can just be reaching out, sending a voice note, taking a walk, or talking with a friend or writing in your journal, but planning the connection can really shift your mindset and really help you begin to get out of this phase of loneliness. And loneliness can, reframing is a very powerful tool, but how do you reframe loneliness, right? So here are a couple of things you can consider. Loneliness is not a personal failure, it's a signal, just like hunger. So we're talking about it now, you're aware of it. It's a signal that, something is different, something is going on. Now, what can I do about it? But reframing it, it's a signal, it's not really a problem or a failure. It means you need connection, right? Not that you're broken, but you need connection. As humans, being connected, being in community is very important for our overall survival. But we're not broken, right? We just need to be reconnected because something has happened that really insulted who we thought we were, what we were doing, our routine, because cancer is very disruptive. It disrupts everything. But we just need to like reconnect in a way that's comfortable and safe for us. The third thing is let it lead you back to yourself and to others. One thing I always tell clients is, a cancer diagnosis or being a caregiver of someone, you can always redefine how you want to show up in the world. It's a time to really reflect on who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to show up and how you want to interact with others. So it can lead you back to yourself and to others, but in a way that's comfortable for you. So I want to close with this lovely quote here regarding loneliness, but you can feel lonely and still be deeply loved. So just because you're feeling loneliness does not mean you are not loved, you are not cared for. You are still human. You still have people around you who love you despite maybe not hearing from you. But this is a time for you to really just reflect on what's going on with you, having some self-awareness, and what is it that you want and what is it that you need. So if you're feeling lonely and you don't stay silent, You don't want to be silent, you want to re-engage. Join us at Cafe Conversations. We would love to have you there. It's a lovely virtual community that you can come in and just listen, or you can engage. We meet every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to register, you can go to collaborativecancercare.com, and there's a button on there that says register. You'll get the notification. And I encourage you to just stay connected to someone, something, some group, have your person, have your outlet. Loneliness is not somewhere you want to sit for very long. If you need resources, you can always connect with me. Go to collaborativecancercare.com, schedule a consultation. I'll be more than happy to connect with you, and just kind of see what you need and help you plug into resources or people that you may need to help combat loneliness. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for your time and attention, and have a great afternoon.